You know, I relate to carrying a songwriting gift. How does this statement hit you? To write good songs, you got to go through bad things.
Extremely true.
Yeah.
Clean my hand, purify my heart. I wanna burn for you, only for you. Take my life as a sacrifice. I wanna burn for you, only for you. I wanna be tried by fire, purify. You take whatever you desire, Lord, in my life. You should play it. You gotta tell them the story.
Man, I got nothing. Sing the bridge. Yeah, I mean, I was in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and I used to go to this bridge and sit there underneath it and get to walk around it. And I said, God, I gotta leave. I can't do this. I'm in too deep. I can't get out. The coward's way is open. But man, I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I played that song and I just stood there like, God, you gotta do something. You gotta do something. And the next day, my life changed forever. And
I remember that.
and Laura, still to this day, we play that song. She'll probably have the same response because we love it. It's just in a real special place in our heart. It was the only song I could listen to for 2, 3, 4 months. Remember calling you, going, hey man, do you know the chords to that song you wrote? and leaving voice memos like, F you for writing this song. But that's the power of you being refined. You know, you're able to write songs that make a difference. My point is, even the words of that song, for those, there's a lot of people who watch, they're not Christians, they don't get it, this regard. It's easy to get. I mean, we do believe that God can refine you through that fire. It's just not something you want to be singing a lot because God will give you what you ask for, but to be refined by fire means that stuff will burn, burn around you. You've went through that in your own life, and it's produced gold. I'm grateful that you share that.
My hands, purify my heart. I wanna burn for you, only for you. Take my life, whoa, as a sacrifice. I wanna burn for you, only for you. You're fire, the refiner. I wanna be consumed. You're a fire, the refiner. I wanna be consumed. Not really though.
Not all the way.
Not all the way.
Chandler Moore, Lights On Pod.
Finally here. Hopefully it sees the light of day.
It's going to see the light of day. That's a fact. we are on Sunset Boulevard in the City of Angels, and you are such a classic famous guy in that the more you try to look not famous, it's so obvious. And y'all are the only ones that don't see it. I know other people with the same type of fame, and they're like, I'm going to go outside, I'm going to put on a hoodie, these glasses and this hat, and you think you're not recognizable. It's just 30 times more. It's like, oh, that's Chandler. If you just walk out normal, people might not know.
It's my safety though.
But it's gonna make people be like, who is that in that hood? Oh, that's Chandler.
Not all the time.
It's a great look. It doesn't work. You've reached a place where it's just not gonna work. We have a mutual friend that's super famous. His posture's famous. Like he could put on like a freaking headdress, wouldn't matter, people would know.
Well, we're in LA. I'm not, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, I love you. I'm glad you're sitting in front of me. You're a blessing to a lot of people throughout the whole world. God has used you to help a lot of people think, feel, live differently. You recognize that?
Most days.
Most days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most days.
What's life look like for you right now?
I'm on tour.
Do you love tour? Hey,
No.
explain a little bit about it, because people who are not musicians, tour sounds incredible because they typically see like the show.
Yeah.
What's tour really like?
Wait, one, happy to be here. Glad to be doing this finally. Even though I don't feel the best, but I am glad to be here. One, life looks like not just tour, but family, and I'm in a interesting space where, things have just changed drastically in the past year, and I'm still catching up to the curve and the changes and stuff. Tour is interesting though, because tour is great while you're on stage for the 2.5 hours that you're up there, and different cities and traveling and stuff. Those are some of the pros, but the cons are you are pouring out energy and giving out all this energy and all this thing to people. I've heard artists call it almost like a one night stand. Describe it, because you're revealing intimate parts of yourself, art and creativity, and opening yourselves to these people that only perceive you in this one way. And then you get back on a bus, or you get back into a room, or you get back on a flight, and you kind of experience these extreme ups and downs, highs and lows of whether it's adrenaline or whether it's loneliness, whether it's all this stuff. So that's the part of tour I don't really enjoy, because you can't escape it. And especially, that's just in any world. Then you add the spiritual component to
what you're doing.
If you're doing worship or Christian music, and there's just a whole nother layer of things that you have to fight through. And so it's super important to try to do it the right way, whatever that is. I mean, if there is a right way.
Well, I want to acknowledge a few things about you. Number one, how hard you work at trying to figure out how to make that life something that's healthy. Like, it's very hard to describe. I can relate to it in my own way, what it's like to constantly be on a high that is so important and awesome. And then that valley, that dip, it's taken on a lot of people. I think I could have been a casualty of it. Thank God, things have changed for me. But I just remember feeling that valley, man. It's hard to describe. And I just want to acknowledge your passion to just be a real incredible human being in the midst of carrying a gift like this. I relate to carrying a songwriting gift. I just don't release mine, but it's a heavy burden.
No, you do have it.
I woke up the other day and I'm like, what's heavy today? My songwriting gift.
You have it.
I do. I've dabbled.
Yeah, you dabble a little bit.
Had I known where some of my dabbles would have gone, I definitely would have put my name on the dabble.
Definitely should have.
But I didn't know that was like a lucrative career now. It's just hopping on a song. Like, there's people who are like, let me add hey, where's my money at? That's the dark side of Christian songwriting. That people don't know.
That's great.
Hey, you want to collab? Collab. I'm pretty sure I wrote it, sang it, composed it, and you hummed. It's a collab? It's not a collab, bro. You're not getting paid for this. Get out of here. It's gone from people wanting to be a part of something cool to being like, hey, I was on 2 seconds of that song.
I can't talk about it too much because
I bet, bro. And with no context, by the way. We have not had this joke before, but yeah. A
lot of checks going on.
You've made a lot of people really, really happy, bro. Yes, you have.
Everyone in the room deserved to be in the room, did their share.
I disagree with everything you just said. You, Chandler Moore, have helped put a lot of people in a more healthy financial position, and that is what it is. It's true, and that's part of it. It's okay. It's not even a bad thing. It's just that's what it means to be at the head of the spear sometimes. It's just, it's fun at first, and then people start really enjoying your hard work, and it can be tough to manage.
I think, yes, tough to manage, and yes, it is an interesting thing, especially when I am one who loves collaboration.
Yeah.
I'm pretty generous and
very generous, bro.
Very generous. And I do love the moments where I get to bring somebody else along on the journey. And sometimes it is like very we get to the nitty gritty, like, you know, people take advantage and kind of want to throw middle fingers up to all of the
God bless them.
The BS of it.
You know, I was sitting here tonight thinking about how long-standing our relationship is in different seasons. And the first time I saw you, I was somewhere and there was some video and I was like, what are all these dudes doing in a circle standing around? And I was like, who's the black guy in a trucker?
In COVID.
Who's the black dude in a trucker? And then as I listened to him, like, the black dude with the trucker is amazing. Who is this guy? And that was it for me. I started kind of whatever. And I remember, you know, we've connected here and there over the years, and you've just been a really faithful, kind, loyal friend. And it's a real blessing to know you. I think that there's some people you meet and you're like, I wish I wouldn't have met you. I like my view of you before I knew you.
Hero.
And you're kind of the opposite of that. What, sitting here now, how many Grammys you won?
5.
5 Grammys.
5 shackles.
Stop it. So when you won the Grammys, everything got better in your life, right? Like right away? Like the moment you got the trophy where you're like, geez, how much did everything change because you got the pinnacle of what musicians live for?
It is, it's just so interesting. I think I've just seen influence and pain kind of grow at the same rate for me. And all of my Grammys have kind of, I mean, probably within the last, well, it's this year, top of this year, I just kind of put them out in the house and they're seen because they didn't represent great things for me or my family. And they represented some really low, crappy moments. And so it's interesting. I'm kind of, especially where I am today, and to have done certain things kind of so fast as far as things I've picked up with Mav or with the music, and to have achieved certain things so quickly. I think the blessing in it is I'm kind of off of it now. I'm kind of like, okay, that's done. And
you kick those goals.
I get to the deeper meaning of things a little quicker now. And like, okay, why am I really making music? Why am I really writing this? And what is the motive behind it? And Grammys are cool, but you know, it's politics. Everything's kind of politics nowadays. And a part of most of my life now, I try to live to stay out of the politics of anything. And then with industry and career, it comes, of course, but I'm just trying to be on a different wave right now, just to make sure I'm okay and I have what I need to keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
You've done a lot of hard work, man. A lot of hard work, and it shows. You know, it's too bad that self-work doesn't end up like being a destination. We can be like, look at all the work I've done. Like
it's not a Grammy for sure.
It's never ending, but you work, bro, and that's all. If anybody would know, like what Chandler Moore off the stage, what's that guy like? He's just like you, trying to figure it out, trying to find peace, trying to grow. Even the way you talked about your Grammys, because you become a professional framer. Now we can look at them and go, you know what? There's also some great things. And they also represented some moments that I look back on and they made me better. Just can't let that one go because the Grammys it's a big deal to achieve that level of success in a field that has been, you know, it's hard. It's hard to break through with music right now. You're not like actively touring with Mav City.
No.
You're doing your tour, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
What's that like being on your own a little bit?
It is interesting. I mean, it's not something I really wanted. It's great. I love it because it's giving me a chance to grow up in certain areas and mature in as an artist and as a creative and find different ways to express what I feel and art stuff. And it wasn't what I wanted, wasn't what I planned to do. So it's interesting. It's great. I love the side of it, the autonomy in the way that I'm in way more control of certain things and certain narratives and the way certain things, optics and stuff. That always helps a creative not feeling like they're being used to push somebody else's thing. But it's cool. It's cool. It's like it's cool. I try not to sound like I've been doing this for 40 years and I'm over it.
Yeah.
But I think where I am and where things are changing, I can't wait to let people hear more music and stuff. But where I am now is just way more like that's cool, and there's way more to life, and there's way more to God, and there's way more to this journey of being who you're called to be and showing up the way you need to show up. And I think 10% of that is being expressed through my artist stuff.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to suit up in a Dallas Mavericks uniform and just played half the game as Kyrie? Or what's the deal? It is uncanny. Kyrie?
I got 20 points for Kyrie right now.
Lord Jesus, y'all are never in the same place at the same time because there's rumors you might be the same human.
I got 20 for Kyrie waiting in my pocket.
You do not have
And I got about 40 for you. We still haven't.
Bro, you do not want these problems. Okay, you brought this up. We've played pickleball. I was in boots.
Pickleball was bad.
It was bad. In front of your people.
Yeah, it was bad.
Like
I was like,
you think this
6
is a
months
game,
in.
and then you want to get on a basketball
I was like
court,
6
bro?
months
You
in.
think you want to get on a basketball
I
court?
was 6
Why?
months in.
All right.
But basketball,
I don't know, man. Who knows how it would go?
you wear Chelsea boots too much. Your ankle's not.
Yeah,
they're not
brother.
good right now.
I will go right now in my Chelsea boots,
Your ankle's
shoot
not
10
good right
shots,
now.
and make 9 of them. Easy money.
I would love
Easy
that.
money, bro. I'm not like a Christian hooper. You know those guys. You want to hoop, man? Nah, bro. This is a
I
way of
understand.
life.
I love it.
When you write songs, tell me this. I feel like you're constantly writing a song.
Always.
I mean, it's not that you're not present. I have another friend that is a songwriter, exactly the same. It's like, hey man, what you humming?
Yeah.
And you'll see, like, what's that like? Do you have a constant song in your freaking head, or does it?
I think
it's uncanny to watch. I love it.
As a creative, I've heard somebody describe like this. It's probably the most realist way I can put it. As a creative, you live, especially a songwriter, you kind of live in these two worlds. One, and where there's reality and I'm here, but then the other world of like, I am somewhere else trying to create something that hasn't been heard, hasn't been said, hasn't been saying this kind of way. And to get that and to bring it in reality, you kind of have to go code switch almost between these two worlds and hold these two things. And like from a kid, I will always be like tapping, or even I walk to a beat, or I'm like kind of humming subconsciously. And I think before I would just kind of chalk it up to ADHD and like, oh yeah, I got ADHD, I need to take my medicine or whatever.
Yeah.
But now I own it a little more and respect it and value it a little more, to notice that. Because I've been in seasons where I wouldn't write because the pressure of trying to write another genre or another firm foundation was just too much, and I would just go 6 or 7 months without writing because I would be comparing my writing to the last thing I wrote. But now I value like my best song is the song I have now. So like, yeah, I wrote a song yesterday I enjoyed, but I'm trying to find the next one.
That's good.
Because as a songwriter, it's just all about trying to find the now, the present, being in the present, trying to find where you are currently at. And through a lot of therapy has helped too. But so it's hard trying to.
Yeah.
And it definitely affects other areas of life sometimes too, when you're trying to be present and be here, but it's like, oh, I have this idea, or I have this song, I have this melody, and you got to pull out your voice note real quick. Oh, let me get it out. So it's interesting. It's very.
Bro, I relate to it in that when you're a preacher, you're always thinking about a message. And I remember one year taking my kids to a movie, and I had to preach the next day, and I just was in my head, and it was great, awesome. Go to the movies, get the kids stuff, candy. We sit down in the movie, and about 10 minutes in, I hear gunshots. And I'm like, there shouldn't be gunshots in Up, the movie Up. Look up. We're in Inglourious Bastards. Me, my little kids. I was so not present that I had taken them to the wrong movie and didn't even realize it until the movie. And that's not a good movie to have your kids in.
Glorious Bastards?
Yeah, bro. And my kids, I was like, guys, we're in the wrong theater. Let's go. And I was like, I got to get my stuff together. Because I was literally, that's how tunnel vision I can get. And then the other thing is, I find it interesting that every time I've ever heard you sing or lead, it's like the first time you've done it. I remember looking at old sermons that you feel compelled to preach, and you got to gear up and and refeel that thing because you can't mail it in. You've seen songwriters and worship leaders mail in stuff. You've seen preachers that are preaching old messages, but you can preach an old message with new fire and it's better. You can sing an old song with a new anointing on it. Man, thing pops, you know? Do you find that to be something that you just have done innately? Have there been nights when you're like, man, it's tough to find, or does it?
I think, especially the tour I'm on right now, a practice that I'm having to do is to not shut down that.
Yeah.
Because like what you're saying, like you taking your kids to the wrong movie is a part of the process of what the people received that Sunday.
True.
And got, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you kind of have to go through these uncomfortable and sometimes what feels like people around you having the consequential effects, sometimes damaging, of staying in touch with the thing God gave you so that you're not mailing in. So you're not just showing up empty or numb. You're not just showing up like a, you know, I think being a vessel is not just being empty, but it's also being in touch with the thing that's filling you. Yeah. And I think sometimes, it, like for me, this tour, like we go on stage at 8:20 and around 7:30 is this morphing process I feel internally where I'm like, God, I don't want to do this. Like, I want to go home. Like, let me just stay in the hotel. Let me just stay in the green room. But what it is, the process is like me finding the new revelation of singing Gyra again, or finding the energy and the strength to pull from to get up and be in front of people who I don't feel like understand me, who I feel like don't even want to understand. Like, and morphing to do what I feel like ultimately God has called me to do in that space. So I think it is this, it is interesting of trying to really stay in touch and not just clocking in just to clock in for, you know, work purposes, but really stay in touch with the thing that God has put inside of you. And it just sucks sometimes, honestly, that process.
Yeah, bro, it does. It's not it's a labor for a reason in the most beautiful way. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to anybody who's trying to get it done right now and you feel like you got to ante up the courage, whether you're a preacher or worship leader, whatever you do, keep fighting a good fight. Yeah. You know, God can breathe on that. When you look back, when you started this journey, Chandler Moore, South Carolina.
South Kakalaki, what up?
Shout out to Rock Hill, South Carolina. LeVar Hemp Hill, my boy.
Charleston, South Carolina. Rock Hill is so funny.
Shout out to Rock Hill. Some real ones out there. And you've achieved this place of influence. What was there ever a day where you thought, I'm really good at this? Like, where in your trajectory did you finally like discover, I'm a little bit different?
Yeah, When you innately do something and you've grown up in environments where that's just kind of how it is, you don't really, to your detriment, to my detriment a lot of times, I didn't really know my uniqueness until people who weren't used to it started recognizing it. So yeah, I think it took a while. It took a while, maybe a little before the Mav days, before I realized like, oh, what I have is special or what I have is unique. Because what I do, I mean, you go to South Carolina, you go to my dad's church right now, or South Carolina in general, North Carolina, and I forgot we were on the podcast. Was like, niggas are out here we just out here. Like, niggas can do what I'm doing with their eyes closed in the bed, sleep, and most of them can sing way better than me. So when you grow up in that environment, and probably growing up, I probably feel a little less than still because where I was from, nobody's had a guitar in a black Pentecostal charismatic church. Right. They weren't trying to sing Hillsong or Bethel songs in 3-part harmony. Yeah. It was kind of like, you do that on Youth Sunday and, you know, whatever. So the uniqueness you didn't really sense, I didn't really get a sense of till it was honored or respected or valued.
Somebody else called it out.
Somebody else had to call it out, which is good and sad sometimes. Yeah. But now that I understand what it is, it is, in a lot of spaces, what I do is really cool. And I'm learning now that there's so much more to me.
Yeah.
I think that the weird thing about being in worship music and being in church and growing up as a church kid and growing up as a Christian and growing up as a PK is that like my career now wasn't really set out to be, I didn't really set out for this to become a career. I was just kind of just doing what I believed was right at the time and just doing what I showed up to church to do.
Yeah.
And now that I'm like about to be 30 in a couple months and I'm really just now starting to figure out all the things there are to me and learning what's inside of me creatively, personally, personality-wise, all this, I'm just learning. And I'm in 3 years of marriage, so I mean, that is just alone. You just learn all the...
Every day.
All the malarkey that comes with that.
Every day, brother.
So now that I'm just learning, I'm learning even more and I'm owning my uniqueness, not just to the 0.1% of the world as far as Christian music, but now I'm like, oh, dang, God has put way more inside of me than that. So it has helped me own it a lot more and see it in a different light. And I feel like I can see myself as a kid and I respect myself as a kid more.
Ooh, I like that.
Because what people didn't honor me in me as a kid, I'm now at 30 trying to honor. Like, oh, dang, yeah. Even though people may not see it now, I'm pointing it out. I'm feeding it. I'm growing it. I'm watering it. So that in a couple of years, it'll maybe turn into something and see what happens.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
How does this statement hit you? To write good songs, you got to go through bad things. True?
Extremely true.
Yeah. The reason why I say it is because sometimes people will hear a song like you or, being around Joel Houston for so long.
Legend.
I would have absolute legend. I would have the privilege of knowing some of the backstory. So he was writing songs and people were like, I want to write a song like that. I'd be like, watch. I don't know if you do because what it takes to not just survive whatever this is, but what comes out of you, you can't write a song about a valley unless you've walked through it. You can't write a song about overcoming a battle if you don't fight any.
And to have a healthy perspective and not be jaded about it.
Yes.
To even write a song that people want to listen to.
And we could write some like real Christian songs like God shows up except when he does it.
Exactly.
God is always faithful except for those 19 times he wasn't faithful.
Exactly.
We should do a whole album on the songs everyone's afraid to sing. God, I love you a lot, but sometimes you be tripping.
I would love it.
Our God's a healer, except for that time my friend died. My God shall supply all my needs, except for on the way here for church when I ran out of gas because nobody would give me money, except for that time, God, sing it again. I don't know if we're cooking albums like that, but man, maybe people would appreciate how real it is. I heard a song recently in somebody else's church and I was like, to my friend, I'm like, hey, by the way, I don't believe this song is true.
Oh, God.
I just want you to know.
That's a whole nother topic.
It happens all the time. But imagine if you just kind of like buck the trend. You got up one night and you're like, hey, I'm going to sing some songs that I feel right now.
I would love to.
And so many people would probably resonate with it because it's true. Like all this, like Christian cliches, although they can be true. If you've ever walked through a valley and somebody's thrown a cliche at you, the vitriol that wants to come out of your mouth at those people, because it's like, yeah, it's still true, man. I preached the message one time called All the Cliches Are True. We just went through all these cheesy things that we take for granted that I do believe are real. God is good. Yeah. It's cliche? Yeah, it's true. Yeah. But there is something to be said for maybe something in the future where it's a little bit more real, because sometimes I think people could relate to it. But we used to have a running joke, bro. Me and about 3 friends, we'd be like, hey, man, that God is so gracious, isn't he? Except for that time where your consequence cost you everything. Other than that, and God is a healer, except for this freaking thing I've had since college. Won't go anywhere, but he's a healer. All the time, God is good, except for 3 times a week when he does not show up. And it just feels good to say these things out loud. For instance, one of the songs that kind of rocked the world was Refiner. And you and I have talked about this before. And matter of fact, hang on, because we're in the Ziggy Hotel. Hold this guitar.
You gonna play it? Are you gonna play it?
No, but I would love for the people who watch this pod that are not hip to the game, play a little bit of Refiner on the guitar that.
Let's see. Clean my hand, purify my heart. I wanna burn for you, only for you. Take my life, as a sacrifice. I wanna burn for you, only for you. I wanna be tried by fire, purified. You take whatever you desire, Lord, in my life. You should play it. You gotta tell them the story.
Man, I got nothing. Sing the bridge.
Take him to the chorus.
No. Pick it back up. Pick it back up. Just one more time. Clean my hands. Purify my heart. I want to hear it.
Clean my hands. Purify my heart. I want to burn for you. Only for you. Take my life. Whoa, as a sacrifice. I want to burn for you. Only for you. You're fire, the refiner. I wanna be consumed. You're a fire, the refiner. I wanna be consumed. Not really though.
Not all the way.
Not all the way.
You know what gets me about that one in particular. I feel like this about Whitney Houston too when I hear her sing, by the way. It's not just you. No, I mean, I've told you this, like, so the night before my life changed, I was, oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I was in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and I used to go to this bridge and sit there underneath it and could walk around it. And, you know, I said, I'm going to, I said, God, I gotta leave. I can't do this. I'm in too deep. I can't get out. The coward's way is open. Yeah. But man, I've been thinking about it a lot lately. And I played that song and I just stood there like, God, you gotta do something. You gotta do something. And the next day, my life changed forever. And
I remember that.
And Laura still to this day, we play that song, she'll probably have the same response because we love it. It's just in a real special place in our heart. It was the only song I could listen to for 2, 3, 4 months. I remember calling you, going, hey man, do you know the chords to that song you wrote? and leaving voice memos like, F you for writing this song. But that's the power of you being refined. You know, you're able to write songs that make a difference. My point is, even the words of that song, for those, there's a lot of people who watch, they're not Christians, they don't get it, this regard. It's easy to get. I mean, we do believe that God can refine you through that fire. It's just not something you want to be singing a lot because God will give you what you ask for, but to be refined by fire means that stuff will burn, burn around you. And you've went through that in your own life, and it's produced gold, you know. And I'm grateful that you share that. That's something that could have been between you and the Holy Spirit. Yeah. But you know, it's made a difference all over the world. I don't know how many languages they'd be singing that in. But, you know, I don't know if people know the toll. Yeah. And for that one, I'd like to say, I can't believe you wrote it. I wish you never would. But that's just a good example of.
I almost threw it away.
Oh, man. Really? Why?
I don't know. I didn't think it was good enough.
You didn't think it was good enough? No. Yeah. Isn't that funny? So any songwriter listening right now, you might not think it's good enough.
For sure.
Maybe that's not the question. maybe the question is not, is this song good enough? Maybe the question is, will this matter to somebody?
Yep.
What if you wrote songs from that platform?
Yep.
Will this matter? Probably get out more songs.
Yeah.
Pick that up again, please, sir.
What's next?
Do Gyra was a big deal for a lot of people, including myself.
Okay.
Where did you get the idea to use the word Gyra?
The legend Stephen Furtick, one of the greatest songwriters of all time. We were writing.
Hold on, Stephen Furtick. Special shout out to a guy that's over gifted.
It's ridiculous.
It's like he stayed in line too long, and God just kept giving him gifts. It's like, hey, I'm over here with 2. Furtick's got 60. This is unfair.
The world has yet to see 10% of it.
It's unfair. Shout out to Stephen Furtick, faithful friend, by the way.
So we were in a writing session, me, him, Naomi, Chris, and he spit out the first verse like just the legend that he is. And the chorus, we were just trying to find something over this. And I just was playing piano, and I was like, Gyra. And then Ferg was like, did you just say Gyra? I was like, maybe, yeah. Yeah, that's what we going for. And that was kind of how the chorus came. And songwriting is one of the most vulnerable processes, and you kind of have to have your heart on the sleeve and not at the same time.
Are my eyes swollen? I don't want my swollen crying eyes.
You're going through over here. I'm just letting you have it. I understand.
Go. Keep talking. So Gyra. And he says, are you saying that?
Yeah. So that's kind of how it happened. Gyra, you have known. You are Gyra. You have known.
Video that for me, Heck.
I will be content in every circumstance. Gyra, you have known. If he dresses lilies with beauty and splendor, how much more will he clothe you? How much more will he clothe you? If he watches over every sparrow, how much more does he love you? How much more? 'Cause when I get that feeling, it's a
hey, we went to a honeymoon song. It's that marital feeling. Pick that back up. Pick that back up. Pick that back up. When I get that feeling, it's that marital feeling.
Marital feeling.
So lead me on. You send it to me way before it was on the press, and I told you it's one of my favorite songs.
Mine too. Still.
For the 2 people that haven't got it on their phone, shout out to my boy Charles Park, who definitely doesn't have it. I've been telling you about Chandler. You don't like Christian music. I get it.
I understand.
My boy Charles, when I first got saved, I refused to listen to any music other than Christian, but I didn't know what that meant. And all I knew was Kirk Franklin. So listen to Kirk Franklin. My boy Charles, very lovingly one day, is like, hey, bro, I appreciate you trying to change everything, but I can't be listening to this anymore. And I'm like, what are we going to do? And someone's like, here's a Hillsong United. Who are these guys?
Really?
Yeah.
That's a cool way to be introduced.
Right? Lead Me On.
Lead Me On is
special.
One of my favorite songs right now.
Yeah. Floor is yours. Just to give me a little piece of that thing.
I'm living, breathing proof that things can change. I'm living, breathing proof that things can change. That the saving gift of grace, it really stays. With all the twists and turns, all my mistakes. Oh God. How I made it over, you were the only way. I'm not perfect, don't always get it right. I'd rather walk by faith not by my foolish side. So lead me on, lead me on, lead me on. Please lead me on. It's not me I'm leaning on. Lead me on. Oh, Jesus, keep leading me. 'Cause I'm no good on my own. And I don't know where else to go. Oh, take me back to where I belong. And throw a party when I'm home. Ooh, I love that song.
And then you get up at your show and you go, been writing this, it's kind of new, it's kind of whatever, I'm just going to play it. And you played the one about,
What?
you didn't give me what I wanted.
You gave me what I needed.
Can you play that for a sec? Because it is such a ridiculously incredible song for people that don't necessarily understand what's happening to them right now.
I want to thank you for kindly taking away that thing I had, 'cause it could have hurt me. Protection don't feel good in the moment, but looking back, wasn't trying to be disrespectful. You know I'm stubborn, I never would have let go. But trust is hard with the broken heart, but with you, I finally learned. Felt like you didn't come through for me when you didn't do exactly what I wanted. But you always give me what I needed. Foolish of me to box you in. The shape of my broken heart didn't leave you much room. But you always give me what I needed. Whoa, whoa, I see it now. You knew what you were doing. You got it figured out. 'Cause I trust what you were doing. Ha.
Hold on. Grab it one more time. And then I won't ask again, but our people listening and watching should also know that
You're giving me what I need.
Popeye's DoorDash just arrived. We'll get into this. We'll get into this. What I also love, though, is how closely some of the way you do worship fits R&B that I love, my era.
Okay.
Like, did you do Human Nature? How many Michael Jackson songs could have been worship songs?
How many Michael Jackson songs could have been worship songs?
Yeah. If you take the melody and you take the way that it moves and kind of change. Like, do you know Human Nature?
Why? Tell them that it's human nature. Why? Don't do it away. We say why? Tell them that it's human nature. Why?
Sounds a little bit like the Apostle Paul. I do that which I do not want to do.
I do that which I do not want to do. It can be like, it could be like, never mind. I'm not gonna do it.
No. Go. What are you about to do?
No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
If you had to play one R&B song right now, what would you play? Play it, and then you can drink your Fanta.
One R&B.
What's your favorite one to play when you pick up your guitar and you're like,
one R&B song would
that
be,
sounded a little bit like SWV right there, gearing up to play Weak right there. That little.
That's your song.
Yeah, it is. Time after time, I try to fight it.
Yeah, I guess so. We can need all these be I do on control. Something just off me. In them days, something so amazing. It's not a phase. I want you to stay with me.
By my side. We collab. Pay me my money.
Your love is so sweet. It knocks me right off of my feet. I can't explain why your love, it gets me weak.
Yeah.
You think they're the greatest?
Who's better than SWV?
There's no one.
Thank you. You better get yourself hoodwinked at the back of some show. You say, what about Coco? Yeah. I appreciate you doing this. While you finish your meal.
I can't explain why your love gets me.
When you're by yourself, how have you kept... You've been hit by the business of church. You've been hit by the business of the industry. You've been let down by people. You've been used by people. You have given to people, haven't given back. You have seen the underside of that, yet you remain a lover of people and committed to allowing God to use you. How? What have you done to keep your heart from getting so cased up that not even the good can come through anymore? Because I do see, for instance, when you see like an epidemic of people who say church hurt, person hurt, whatever, what we fail to realize is that by blocking that out, we're missing out on some of the blessing that comes with it. Is that a biscuit?
It's a biscuit. You want one?
Yeah. Let me see it. Okay.
Break bread.
Literally. Cheers. Thanks for doing the pod.
Yeah, that's good.
Shout out to... Oh, my God.
Is it dry? You need honey?
Man, that's tough, bro. I had Popeye's biscuit in a minute. Let's write a song about it. Go. What you got with it?
Popeye's biscuit. You better have your honey. Popeye's biscuit. It'll get stuck if you don't. Choo, choo, choo.
No, it won't be. There's a little public safety warning in there, too. Do me this favor, for the songwriters that I know and love that can't get out of the starting block, what are you telling them?
Yeah. Usually, writer's block or creative block, or people call it different things, is what I've found is from comparison. Because if you're a songwriter, you're a songwriter. So you can write, I was eating a biscuit one day, and I looked at a picture, and I saw a car riding past. It's a song. So the blockage comes when you start comparing, I was eating a biscuit one day, and it's going to come riding past, to Christ is my firm fountain. Like, it should be no comparison of works. It's like your song today is just your best song. That's what you have today. And not all songs need to be heard. Not all songs will be heard by the world. Some songs just may be for you to just work your muscle, get your creativity going, and you have to respect that and honor it. And the song has to be priority, not your feelings about the song. Like, you can't try to make the art try to make yourself feel better. Art is art. The song is the song. It's not to serve you in the way of feeding your ego about who you are. So get out of the block by stop comparing your work today to maybe somebody else's or your previous work.
I don't know who that is for. It's for somebody who's going to write their first song today.
Let's go.
Just write it.
Let's do it.
Compare it. Don't judge it.
Yep.
Just write that thing and watch what happens.
Let's do it. And give Carl 10%.
You already know. We collabed it. It's my intellectual property. So send it to me, not so I can see it, but so I can make sure that I'm getting the proper credit. Don't stop fighting for the best you, bro. Yes, because you're such a blessing. You can know it. You carry it with humility. But we need the best Chandler Moore.
Yeah.
We need the best Chandler Moore. And only you and Jesus are involved in that. Thank you for working. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for not settling. Thank you for not letting that jaded edges that so desperately want to, cut off some of the joy. Thank you for resisting it. The best songs are still in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just grateful I get to get a courtside seat.
You're on the floor.
Word. That sounded really deep and gangster. You're on the floor.
You're on the floor.
Yeah. This has been one of my favorite lights on. This is the first time I've eaten a biscuit in the middle of it. It's the first time I've written a couple songs.
See? We should do part one. We should do part 7.
Part 7? And
just 1 through 7. Almost. This is my first time on a podcast. So I'm just an uncouth. It's like almost like trapped in the closet. Trapped in the closet has 32 parts.
Bro, we are not going to bring up R. Kelly right now. Under any circumstances, is the last thing talked about. Jesus from Nazareth. It's like I just start throwing stuff in there. You know what? Let's call it a day. Thanks for being on the Lights On pod.
I'll be back.
Love y'all. Chandler Moore, ladies and gentlemen, all his albums, they're everywhere. Pray for him. Pray for him.
Please pray for me.
Pray for me while you're at it. Cut the tape.